Today on Morning Drive, we're turning your attention straight to the thing of beauty that is Adam Scott's swing, and more importantly, where the ball ends up. The Honda Classic defending champ serves as inspiration to help you today improve your alignment. And with this week's PGA Tour event going on in Palm Beach Gardens, our golf travel guru serves as your guide to the best of the area, which yes, includes golf, but also a Harmon, a horse, and plenty of history. Plus, it's also a day where we welcome back Miss 59 to Studio AP, the First Lady of Golf. She has a new role involving the King. Annika will tell you all about it, but we'll also be bringing a winning guest of her own as Tuesday on Morning Drive tees off now.
Yes, good morning to you. It is Tuesday, February 21st. Kyle Robinson alongside a PGA Tour winner and Robert Dameron. The rest of the gang will be joining in a moment. But first of all, in our latest edition of Wild Kingdom, this guy saw something pretty crazy yesterday, yeah?
Yeah, well, the first thing I saw was an incredible lack of golfing ability. But wait till you see this. I mean, this is just silly. This is a buddy of mine. I need to get smarter buddies. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. He's put himself between the gator and the water. That's like 101 not to do with gator.
Who does that? The PGA Tour is coming to Florida this week. We need to be careful, I should say, of the gators. I can't imagine anyone. I mean, was this a serious event?
No, this is just out goofing off. He just wanted that $1 for the hole he was going to win or lose, I guess.
Don't go anywhere near a gator.
Jeez.
You're in that similar situation on a golf course in Florida for now, though. Let's say good morning to David Hack and Paige McKenzie.
Good morning, guys. Paige, I'm from California. You're from the state of Washington. This gator thing, I'm still not used to it. 4 years here, I've been in Orlando.
I was writing down, Dameron said Gator 101. What's the rest of the 101 lesson? I don't know what to do either. I know not to get that close, though.
I like Florida golf. I don't like Florida gators. Listen, maybe you just woke up, you're stretching out, you want to know what's trending. Let's say good morning to Lauren Thompson, because she has it. What's up, LT?
And Damon, I'm a Florida resident. I see those things all the time. They're not as scary as you'd make them out to be. As long as you just kind of stay out of the way, you're going to be fine. But moving into what's trending, our top story today involves the PGA Tour heading to Florida this week for the 45th playing of the Honda Classic, which for the 11th straight year will be held on the Champion Course at PGA National Resort and Spa, home to the notorious Bear Trap. That consists of holes 15 through 17 on the layout, where we know, Cara, all that water in play provides plenty of excitement.
And so let's remind ourselves of just what happened down the stretch at PGA National in 2016. Adam Scott had a one-shot lead on the 12th hole. This, his second from the bunker at the par 4 from 150.
Now, I watch a lot of golf, and I don't remember everything I see, but I vividly remembered watching this shot, thinking, wow, he's got nothing. That's inhuman. You're just not supposed to do that.
That was insane. A tap-in birdie stretches his lead to 2. Meanwhile, Sergio Garcia, after birdie on 14, this at the 16th.
This was a strange mistake from such a great pitcher of the ball, Sergio. It's like that really thick, gnarly Bermuda rough, grabbed his club, turned it over, and he hit it long left.
He would make a bogey on the Bear Trap there. Adam Scott now putting for par in what would be a 2-shot lead.
Oh, nothing worse than leaving it short, right in the center.
That would be a bogey. He still leads by 1. We'll move ahead to 17 after another bogey by Garcia. Scott for a birdie in what would be a 3-shot lead.
And look how close his tee shot was to the water on the right. You know he was very nervous watching that in the air and missed that putt by that much.
The par, though, keeps him at 9 under par, and Garcia now needing to put the pressure on and try and hit the 18th in 2.
Well, he did the natural thing. You see all that water on the right? He just double-crossed and hit it left. I know he needs to make birdie, maybe eagle, but you don't want to hit it in the water, so he double-crossed it.
So from 240 yards out, it went into the gallery. You can see the disappointment on his face. It turned out to be an easy tap-in par and win for Adam Scott. It was his first win since the 2014 Dean and DeLuca. It was his 12th career PGA Tour win and his first, as we said, since May of 2014. Adam then went on to win the WGC Cadillac Championship the following week, but is winless since then. As we take a look at his results so far this season, he has had 1 top 10 in 3 starts, and following a final round 70 at the Genesis Open on Sunday, he was asked what he will work on coming into this week.
It's pretty simple. I was just hitting it sideways, so I just need to get on the range and do some work. I think my alignment went out, and you know, when you're looking somewhere and the ball's going elsewhere, it's hard to fix on the course. So I think a good range session is in order, and hopefully that straightens it out.
So alignment is the problem, apparently, for Adam Scott coming into this week. If an amateur at home, Robert, is struggling with the same thing, what advice would you suggest to realign yourself?
Well, first, I was glad to hear him say that because I always fought my alignment. And he, to me, looked like he just falls into place to hit a perfect shot every time. But it's nice to hear him say that he doesn't. But the important thing with alignment, we've all done this. Oh, my alignment's off. I got to tighten it. And we lay this foot line down. That's great. That's one part. But the most important part is the ball's actually going to sit about, 2 feet away from you.
Right.
So I've got a target right here.
Yeah.
If I were on the range, I'd actually move it maybe 5-6 yards in front of me. So anyway, I line myself to this, but now I see where that is because I know that's a straight line. Now, if I were going to aim a rifle, I could aim it just like this, but aiming a golf ball is like holding the rifle away from you because you stand 2 feet away from it. So now how easy is it to aim? Not very easy at all. So what you do is, again, I stand about 2 feet away from it, so this is aimed about 2 feet left of that. I get in there and I take a look and I pay attention every shot to this target. I need to start my ball at it or even right of it because I always aim right and pull it. So I'm almost bending the spring past the perfect point so it kind of pops back into place. I'll over-exaggerate it. So that way, when I get on the course, I see it right. But I'm training my eye for this, more importantly. So you get over it, you keep looking, keep hitting shots, and eventually you'll be able to trust it enough to take this away, go to the course, and know your eye sees the alignment the way it's supposed to be.
But Robert, this simple setup is such a valid point because I've been guilty of this. Many people could set up and align this foot line to the target line, but that's not what you want to do. You've got to remember that it's the ball that needs to be lined up.
Sure, the target line's more important. The ball all the way to the target. Really, that's what it all boils down to, isn't it? Where the ball goes and hopefully towards the target.
Solid tip first thing on a Tuesday morning, Damron. We love it. But for more on what is trending today, let's send it back to Lauren.
Yeah, that's something else we should all be trying on the range to straighten out those tee shots. Well, we now transition to number 2 in the Rolex Women's World Golf Rankings, Arya Jutanugarn, who's headed back to Thailand for quite the homecoming. This time, she makes the trip as a 5-time LPGA Tour winner and a major champion. It will mark her 8th start in the event, and Damon, the scar tissue from 4 years ago, provided quite the learning experience for her.
Sure did, LT. We'll go back to that 2013 Honda LPGA Thailand. Arya Jutanugarn as a 17-year-old in her home country, Paige, her second shot on 18, trouble.
And this is where you're seeing inexperience. It's a gettable par 5, but when that hole location's in the back, it's sometimes better to lay up. Unfortunately, hitting it into the bunker proved an extremely costly mistake because even from there, she had to take an unplayable lie.
And she had a 2-shot lead here. What's happening? You see this golf shot, it goes over the green. It looks like the wheels are coming off.
Yeah, and it's the worst possible place to miss this. What you cannot see is exactly how steep of a slope this putt is. That's why she's choosing to putt it and not chip it, because she just has to get it rolling in order for it to get all the way down to the hole. And you're right, Damon, her mind no doubt is racing. At this point, this is to force a playoff. She has now triple bogeyed the hole and thrown away the golf
tournament. You could see the devastation. There's Inbee Park. She would go on to win the tournament, also claim 3 major championships that season for Arya Jutanugarn. Her giant year would come in 2016. 5 wins, including a major championship. She was also named Thailand's Professional Athlete of the Year last year. Honors galore, Paige. The question from that moment in 2013, could you have seen this type of production come just a few years later?
I think a lot of people did, because she was only 17 years old and she had such talent. What happened on the 18th hole that cost her the tournament was a mental mistake. It was an anomaly. It was something that a good caddy would be able to prevent. I think what happened since then is she had a major shoulder surgery. She had serious injury. She came back with a lack of confidence, and she built her way back into this position, which is incredibly admirable.
How will that help her going forward? It wasn't a smooth road. She's had injuries. She had the devastation of losing a tournament in her home country. In some ways, will that strengthen her as her career goes on?
I think in a lot of ways. I think most of the success stories we see of the youth, they come out with a wave of confidence, and then they continue to ride the confidence once they turn professional. I think for her, she had her adversity early, and she was able to build out of it. I think that makes her a stronger person, stronger character, but also a stronger golfer, because she knows how she got there. When you look at a player like Yanni Sen, who fell from the top, she talks about how she didn't know how she got to the #1 place. Arya had to build her way back, and I think that kind of knowledge, experience, and strength will keep her on top for a long time.
How about her biggest challenge going forward? Is it Lydia Ko? Is it herself?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think obviously competition is always makes it challenging, but for Aria, you still see room for maturity. She has a youthful spirit. She did turn pro so young, and has a very different life experience, I think, than a lot of players that went to college. And when you do talk to her, she has a childlike quality, which I think serves her well because nothing seems to faze her on the golf course. But I also think that she'll become hardened over time. So hopefully she'll keep the spirit at which she plays golf as she continues to mature.
What about the dynamic of having another star in the house and her sister, older sister, Moria Jutanugarn? We've seen it with the Williams sisters. We've seen it with the Manning brothers. What's the dynamic of that, of having a great player in your house?
The good news is the two of them are so very close and have been as junior golfers and throughout their professional career. In fact, when they first turned professional, Moria played on the European Tour, Moria played on the LPGA Tour, ended up Rookie of the Year that season. Aria was too young, so competed on the Ladies European Tour, but have now come together to travel together. You can see play practice rounds together. This is taken from this week in Thailand. I think it only serves them well because you have that internal competition, but more importantly, the internal support system.
An Area definitely a favorite this week in Thailand. For more, we send it back to LT.
Yes, she is, Damon, but we continue to South Africa and the Joburg Open staged at Royal Johannesburg and Kensington Golf Club. This will mark the third event in the Open qualifying series, which began with last November's Australian Open. That was followed by the Singapore Open last month. After this week, the series will pick up in Vietnam come April, then to Japan with more stops to follow. As we now turn it on over to Cara with more on the Open.
Yeah, well, speaking of golf's oldest major, yesterday the RNA announced that the 149th Open will be played at Royal St George's in 2020, allowing the Claret Jug to return for historic Kent Links for the 15th time. Royal St George's first hosted the Open in 1894, which was the first occasion the championship was ever played outside of Scotland. So one of the world's greatest sporting events will now return to the southeast of England, the only venue on the Open Rota to be played so close to London. It's just a 2-hour train ride out of London. It's kind of home for me. It's the place that we all grew up knowing where the Open was contested, somewhere that we could go and play ourselves. It's great news for someone like myself and all the locals that it's returning to. Your impressions of St George's?
You did seem very up when we were talking about it before the show, like, wow, St George's. Obviously a great spot, one of the old places. I was doing a little research. I saw Walter Hagen won there twice, 1922, 1928. He won a total of 175 pounds total for both the wins. That's not enough to get your boat fare back over to the States, was it?
Maybe not at that time. I think you're right. You know, I mentioned the location. Let's just remind you of exactly the lay of the land in the United Kingdom as we just check in with a global map, and then we'll just zoom in on the United Kingdom. Of course, we've got a few spots here where recent Opens have been contested. There are plenty more in similar areas, but you can see right down the bottom right-hand side is really on the very edge of the Kent coast, Royal St George's. The last time it was played there, in fact, was in 2011 when it was Darren Clarke who mastered the links in challenging weather conditions to hold off Americans Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson. He was champion golfer of the year in 2011. His one and only major championship came to rapturous applause, as you can see. Interestingly, Robert, the news of 2020 being played at Royal St George's has increased speculation that perhaps the Open will go to St Andrews on what is typically an off year for St Andrews. They typically have a 5-year cycle for the old course for what will be the 150th anniversary of the Open in 2021. If that does happen, it's bound to be a particularly special year.
I think it's pretty much a done deal here, don't you think? I mean, they haven't announced it officially, but anytime the Open Championship goes to St Andrew, it is something special. The home of golf. What scares me is today's technology. If without weather, St Andrews gets a little too easy, but still, it doesn't matter. It's just such a special feeling, special place.
Yeah, it will be wonderful if that news is confirmed sometime soon. But either way, commercially, it's a huge endorsement for any area when a major championship comes to their neck of the woods. So the Kent coast is pretty happy today. Let's say good morning to Matt Janella.
Yes, good morning to you, Cara, and good morning to you at home. To play Royal St George's, by the way, in February, it will cost you $125. In March, $150, and in peak season, it's $236. Well, right here in Florida, it's peak season right now. And coming up, we take a journey to Palm Beach County, where I sample golf, polo, and a presidential bunker on Peanut Island. That and a lot more right here on Morning Drive.
Alignment drill, buddy. Hey, you. Yeah, you.
Me? I like it. You're going to the range with that, aren't you? You are. You can't wait.